The Philadelphia Eagles just beat the Detroit Lions 16-9. Paige Dimakos, the question is for the Philadelphia Eagles, not if they're a good football team, but can they win the Super Bowl with this offense?
It's impossible to say. They still won a game, right? They still
Yeah,
won the
yep.
game, and I know
They're
that
able
everybody
to.
wants to pick apart the champs because that's what happens when you get to the top. People pick you apart. But as much credit as we have been giving the Kansas City Chiefs, who lost the Super Bowl, are third place in their division and have no shot at winning the AFC now, I think it's hard for me not to give some grace to the Philadelphia Eagles. That being
Mhm.
said, the running game is not what it was last year. Saquon Barkley only has 2 rushes this year of 14 plus yards. That's
Yep.
crazy in comparison to what we were looking at last year. The other difference is they've had some major injuries now on this offensive line. Lane Johnson's been in and out of the lineup. You obviously have
Mhm.
Cam Jurgens, who's been injured. That was a transition that happened from Jason Kelsey to Cam Jurgens at center anyway. So you're looking at the running game really not being what it was, and that impacts everything. And I think that is Saquon Barkley was the new guy last year, right? Now defensive coordinators have tape. I'm not saying that Saquon's not special, but we all know what happens after a year of doing something. You have to evolve. You have to get better. And it seems like in tandem with coaching that I question a lot of what Sirianni does. I question a lot of what happened with both coaches tonight, honestly. There was way too much aggressiveness and not enough taking points. And I think
Mhm.
when you look back, most games are won on the margins. Most games are won by little this, little that, and those 3 points, the 1 point, the extra point, those things add up. So going forward every time is fun until it bites you in the ass. And I think that's where we're looking at it with both teams, quite frankly, coming out of Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I would say yes, they can win a Super Bowl with this current version. It's because they still have ice water in their veins when it comes down to we've been here before, we've executed at a high level, and we know how to win, right? Their process is their process. Everybody can't win like the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the problem is for NFL media, and I'll even throw AJ Brown in there, is that it's not sexy, right? It's
For
not throwing the
sure.
football all around the yard for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns every single game. They're kind of a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of football team. But even in this game against the Detroit Lions, when Jalen Hurts had to make a couple plays, he
He
made
did.
a couple plays,
Hmm.
right? And that's the thing with the Philadelphia Eagles is that their talent almost still supersedes certain elements, right? Where it may be a fault of an offensive coordinator or, maybe a wide receiver didn't run the right route or just anything, right? Even a head coach, right, may put the team in some complicated situations. But I think that they're just so talented. When you're talking about Pro Bowl and All Pro players at every single level of this offense, then their talent just kind of supersedes. The biggest point that you kind of got into, Paige DeMarcos, and I want to hit there is this offensive line. They haven't had continuity, right? And even entering to the season, remember Landon Dickerson was hurt. This is a
Yep.
guy that had an injury, had a knee surgery, had to get it cleaned up, and kind of barely made it into the beginning of the season, right? And then you talked about Cam Jurgens with his injury, Lane
Lane
Johnson with
Johnson.
his injury, and then replacing Mekhi Becton. So they haven't had continuity yet with the Philadelphia Eagles offense. And I think they have to figure out just different run game elements because we know they want to run a football, but this is a good football team overall. And I think they can win because they're beating good football teams.
Yeah, I think they can win. Yes. Can they win? Of course they can. They've won a Super Bowl before. Is it going to look like how it looked last year? No, it's not. And I think that's the part that people need to accept. It's very hard to replicate what you do on a year-to-year basis. If you look at the most recent example, the Kansas City Chiefs, every year that they won a Super Bowl, it looked a little different than the year before. It looked a little different. They had to lean into a different part of their offense. They had to evolve. If you look at the Patriots dynasty over the 6 championships that they won in Boston, it was never the same. It was never one part. It never looked exactly the same. The Randy Moss offense that they had that took them, to the Super Bowl is not the same offense they had when they were running in the first 3 Super Bowls that Tom Brady won. And I think those are the things that when you look back at this, you're like, listen, I understand we want perfection and we want to see greatness from these teams, but they're winning games and the Eagles continue to win games. Are there things and tendencies and trends that are concerning? Yes. The trend of Saquon Barkley only having 2 14-plus yard runs this year, that's a concerning trend. Is that to do with the offensive line? Yes. How could it not? So I think when you start to see, could this offensive line get itself healthy and get some continuity when we go into the postseason? Sure. but we're going to have to see it. This was a big win for them no matter what. The Detroit Lions, on the flip side, that's a different conversation that we'll get into.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to say this. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and their offensive outputs, right? I'm looking at it now. They scored 30 plus points against the Los Angeles Rams. They scored 30 plus points against the Tampa Bay Bucks. They scored 28 points against the Minnesota Vikings. So they scored 38 points against the New York Giants. So it's not like they haven't had these offensive explosions. I have to be honest with you. I think that it's unfortunate. AJ Brown is almost helping curate this
Of
situation, right?
course
As
he
far
is.
as the offensive issues and what's wrong. So I want to ask you, is AJ Brown, not if he should do it or not, but is he right to be, I guess, to say, hey, this is not right, right? The way our offense is operating is not a good situation, or should he be more of a team player? Like which direction? Because you can go into the, if it's not broke, don't fix it thing, or you can go into the element of the total opposite way of we should be striving for excellence on at every single game. So which way do you kind of lean a little bit with it?
So I lean that AJ Brown should get off Twitch streams, stop talking on the internet, stop playing Madden, and focus his energy on watching tape and becoming a better teammate. That's it. AJ Brown is a special player, but the reality is when you start to become the story, when over your team, literally over your team as a whole, over winning football games, you become a distraction. You become a problem. That is never the goal for any athlete, and it should not be a goal for any athlete. If you think that going to the podium and getting asked questions about A.J. Brown is fun for Jalen Hurts or Nick Sirianni or Devonta Smith or Saquon Barkley or any of the other superstar players that they have on this team, I think A.J. Brown would be remiss to remember that he is not the only superstar on this team. There are a lot of superstars on this team. There's another superstar in the wide receiver room with him.
Right.
Maybe.
Won a Heisman.
Thank you. Thank you. As a wide receiver, won a Heisman, which is nearly impossible in today's college football climate to win as a non-quarterback. To me, it becomes this, and I thought Chris Collinsworth did a good job talking about it on the broadcast on Sunday Night Football, is that, listen, like, you can be right in what you're saying, but the format and the platform in which you're choosing to do it is not it. And that's it. Like, yeah, I don't think what A.J. Brown is necessarily saying is wrong. I think that this offense does leave something to be desired as far as the continuity and what's happening. But I don't think the answer is just throw the ball to A.J. Brown. I don't think that's the answer either. And I think that's the problem is he thinks as the wide receiver who's responsible for one thing on the outside, that he can come in and, well, just give me the ball. Well, guess what? There have been times where you've gotten thrown the ball and you didn't make your best effort. Look at last week's tape.
Yep, I'm glad you hit on that because I want to say that it happened this game, right? It was
course
a
it
deep
did.
ball, and I thought that he stopped running, and the crowd was booing. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I thought those boos were split. I thought they were mad with the offense, and then I thought also that the fans are starting to pay attention that
To
you're not
AJ.
giving 100% effort on some of these plays, and,
course.
and those become losing plays because you lose in the down in the game, but then also you lose the locker room, right? And when people don't believe that you're all bought in, then things become an issue. And it's unfortunate is because it's almost like the Philadelphia Eagles' biggest problem is becoming themselves, right? Like they're becoming self-destructive, and A.J. Brown has to understand. And I said this a long time ago, right? I said A.J. Brown has to make his mind up, right? You won a Super Bowl ring already. Do you care about winning another one? Or do you want to get paid and do you want to get the football? And listen, I'm not mad at you for either decision, but be honest with yourself, be honest with your teammates. And unfortunately, you could have did that and requested a trade and got up out of there. But I don't think this is a situation where you can continue to kind of play it safe. And I think that's what he's doing.
He's creating problems that are not there. This is what happens when people are spoiled. Okay.
Yeah. And I think
that's what happens.
What people want is, and you're, because you get in front of the media, right? And you say that we have a problem. We have a problem. We have a problem. Well, AJ Brown, if you're telling everybody we have a problem, I'm at the point now, go ahead and tell us what the problem is, right? Like, don't just tell us we have an issue. Tell us what the solution is. What do you think it should be? Is it an offensive coordinator issue? Is it a coaching issue? Is it a quarterback issue? Fix it. Go into the locker room and fix it. Go draw up the plays that you think need to be called, right? Like, sit down with Nick Sirianni and figure it out. But just saying that we have a problem, I think all of the fans at home can sit there and say, okay, we're not scoring 30 plus points a game. We have a problem. Solve it for us. Tell us what's the solution.
He's acting like a fan.
Yeah.
That's the reality. He's acting like a fan. He's acting like a non-educated fan on the outside who doesn't know the ins and outs and nuances of what's happening inside the locker room and just says, well, just give him the ball. Just don't do that. Just don't do this. those ridiculous statements. That's what fans do. That's what people do at home that don't know what's going on inside the locker room. It's like he's confused about what he wants to do, but the reality is what you said, he has both those things. He did get paid as a high-level receiver. He did get his money. He is getting the football and will continue to get the football, and he is winning. What are you complaining about, AJ? What are you complaining about, big dog? Like, at a certain point, like, tell me you just want attention. Like, at the end of the day, like, tell me you just like attention, because that's kind of what it feels like.